Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Zoe, and you're listening to Works for Us, where we talk to people about what works for them in their relationships and, of course, what doesn't. So today is a really fun episode for me that's all about my favorite topic other than relationships, fashion. And I'm so excited to tell you that supermodel, supermom, and of course, cover girl, Karolina Kurkova is here to get into all things fashion and mom life. All of the things. We're going to talk everything today. Karolina has graced the covers of such notable fashion magazines as Vogue, Elle, Vanity Fair, Esquire, among countless others. And in 2002, she was named Model of the Year at the VH1 Vogue Fashion Awards. She's also a wife, the mother to 3 amazing children, an incredible entrepreneur, and the co-founder of GRYPH IVYROSE. It's worth noting also, of course, that Karolina is the cover star of our spring edition magazine by CURATEUR. So obviously, I'm a longtime fan of hers, and she is a very dear friend for many, many years. Today's episode is part 1 of 2, because we had so much to talk about and so much to cover that we had to break it down into 2 episodes. So come back next week to hear the rest of it. Enjoy the episode. Oh, you look so beautiful. Thank God you're in photo. That would be such a waste. Hi, babes.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I just look nice, top up, bottom down. You know, I'm casual. I don't match, you know.
Favorite. By the way, the funniest part about that is that's like half the questions I've been asked in the last year was like, Rachel, how do you think people are going to get dressed again? Do you think people will ever put pants on again? Do you think people will like ever care what they look like from like the waist down ever again? And I was like, I don't know. How are you, sweetie?
I think people will. You know what? I do. Look. I mean, it is a cool week for me. And I did put a nice blouse on. I put a little lipstick. I put a jewelry. You know, I feel like there will be things that we care about that will make us, which I think it's important, you know, and it's nice to, I mean, otherwise so easily we can fall into this, well, I just got up and I'm busy. I have phone calls. I'm running to pick up my kids, meetings, we're all used to being kind of casual, that it's kind of nice. Actually, I look forward to I know I have a meeting or I have like a dinner and then I know I can put something nice on. I don't have to, but why not?
It's true. And I feel like we probably have a lot of friends that are now going to stay casual for life. And I think it's I just think it's personal preference. I feel like if you're that person that wants to always be casual, then live your best life and do it. But I think if you're someone who's always been someone that dresses up, I think it's nice to have those at home days where you don't have to. And then I think it's nice to just feel like a human sometimes and do the thing and be like, oh, right. This is what this feels like again. I forgot. It's so crazy. Now, where are you? Are you in Florida? Where are you?
I'm in Florida. I'm at home. And I think, Rachel, you said it, I think it's all about feeling the best.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really about you as a woman feeling the best. And, sometimes you might feel great to just be casual and not to worry and just have a great moisturizer and feel great about yourself being that way. And that's awesome. And I love that too. But you know what? There's something nice when you do make that effort and you take that time for yourself to look good for yourself, where you feel good, and then
funny though. Wait, KK, do you find that, I don't know how you were in early pandemic life in the beginning, but 99.9% of the people in my life were just no makeup, no this. They were in pajamas. They were in a bathrobe. They were in whatever. And then for me, about 2 months in, I was okay, I got to throw on a faux fur. I got to put my 5-minute face on. I'm going absolutely nowhere, but I have to feel like myself. I started to it was for no one other than myself. You know what I mean? And it was a bit of a surreal, practicing what you preach for so long of that, don't dress for others, dress for you. And for me, it was such an exercise in I think we know who I am, you and I, because I don't know if I've ever done casual very well, but I think it just.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think you've ever been casual, Rachel. Even, I mean, the years I've known you, you always are glammed up, put together. And that's, and that's what we know you. I mean, that's you, and which is beautiful because that's you, right?
But I think if I was you, I might just be like barefoot in like a flat with no makeup and like a ponytail and like a cute little tank top and like jeans. And that would be my whole thing, because that's like the original model off-duty look, because you're such this natural, gorgeous human being, but in every way. And, for people that haven't met you and are just, looking at our interview and whatever, I mean, as magnificent as you are to the outside, you are so equally beautiful in the inside. And that's, to me, what makes me love you for so many years, is just like, you're this extraordinary human being, and now a mom of 3.
Thank you, Rachel. That's so sweet.
It's the craziest thing, Karolina. You have a daughter.
I know. It is wild. It is wild. You need a daughter, Rachel, with
more than life.
Wardrobe and she'll be too cute, ridiculous. She'll be ridiculous, little mini Rachel Zoe.
I'm honestly, oh God. It's funny. I have a handful of what were once boy moms that had 2 boys, and they weren't even going to have a third. And then they had a third, and they kind of surrendered to, it's just going to be another boy. And they had a girl. And they're just like, Rachel, you have got to get on this, because it's like a totally different thing. But it's like, I do know, Karolina, that if I had another one, I'd have a boy. And if I had 2 more, I'd have 2 more boys. 100%. I do. Okay. So wait.
But you know what? You get to dress up a lot of your friends, right?
Yes.
Your daughters that you get to have fun with, and girls to dress up.
And what I do? I mooch off my friends a lot. Like, I take their daughters and I just take them into my closet, and we have so much fun, and giving them back is painful. So I suggest you don't have your daughter around me anytime soon. But like, I can't. Okay. So now I'm going to go through a few questions, even though it's going to be very challenging, because I just want to have our just normal girl talk. But I'm just going to ask a couple of questions, because I want our CURATEUR community to really know more about you, and, just all your things that you do and your businesses and just everything else. So I want to ask you just a few questions, then we can talk about anything. Okay. All right.
We can still have questions and still make it like a girl talk. I mean, I think we can.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, it's going to be a girl talk no matter what, but I'm like, I guess I have to actually ask you questions, like formal questions. Okay. So, in full disclosure, we've known each other for so long. So when we met, I mean, we were obviously younger than we are now, but we were really at, one of the highest points of our careers. I was a stylist, and you, of course, were like probably the biggest supermodel in the world, larger than life, still are. But I love now that we can connect on so many more levels of being working moms and, of course, entrepreneurs. So I think a question that I have in our community would have is, like, how do you feel like your career, even now, like as a model, sort of informed and helped create kind of who you are and how you approach your life, your work, motherhood? I mean, everything. Like, I think, what are some of those valuable takeaways that you just learned, just through experience, honestly, of growing up in this industry, right?
Oh my God. Yes. I definitely grew up in an industry. I've been in fashion business since I'm 15. I'm going to be 38. So that's a long time. But I love what I do, even though I've been doing it for so many years. Some people say, I've been doing it for so many years, I feel tired.
Right.
I don't feel tired. I really love what I do. And when I work, obviously I work a lot in front of the camera, but as you know me, I've evolved in that way. I've learned and observed, I've worked with the best of the best, where yes. I love, being part of like the art directing and a little bit the styling, right. And okay, what are we doing, the hair and makeup, to really make sure that we're telling that story. You know, for me, it's really like I work like an actor when I work. I really for me, it comes from inside. Like there's gotta be a feeling to everything I do. It's not like, okay, we're just gonna put that on and that's it. And we're gonna put a red lipstick on and, you know, and that's it. Well, what is that? What is that feeling? Because for me, even clothes, picture, even though picture doesn't have a voice, it's got to have a feeling. You got to be moved by it. It's like a painting, right?
100%.
It's a still thing. It's a still thing, but it makes you think. It provokes something. Yeah. And picture has to have that same thing, you know. And how do we get there? And then, you know, what's the music we're playing? So I'm very much into like, you know, all those things. And people who know work with me and probably listening, they're like, yes, KK is very specific. People call me also KK.
But I love that about you. I love that about you because for me, it's like, it should always be a collaborative process, right? And I think that probably when you started out as a very young model, I mean, I know for me, just starting out working with models, it was like, I was literally one of the first people that was like, oh, let's talk to her about it. Let's see what she feels. Let's see let's see if she'd prefer to wear this length or that length. And I remember like early on, you know, those days where it was like, they would look at me and be like, well, it doesn't really matter. That's like her job. And I was like, well, it does actually, because she's the one wearing it, you know? And so I think that the industry has shifted, right? I mean,
but also I think when you're young, you know, when you're super young, you don't always know, right? Yes, we all innately like, yes, we might know and feel, but you know, a lot of it comes with experience, right? Like everything comes from experience by doing, by looking, observing, you know, and I'm very curious. So I've always watched and I've always asked, or I've paid attention how the light was set up or how things were put together and why. Like I'm very curious and I love to learn. If I'm going to do something, I want to be the best at it. Yep. So I really took it. I take everything I do very seriously and to the heart. And, you know, of course, when you're young, you don't always know. And, you know, that's when it's great when you work with incredible people who've been doing it for a long time. You know, there's this constructive, you know, no one say criticism, but constructive. There's learning, you know, there's feedback you get. It's like, okay, but maybe if you do that or look at that, like that really, I work with master that really taught me, you know, we don't work like that anymore. You know, now there was no time for an image and a picture. It's with an iPhone and it's so quick. I'm not, you know, it's great too. It's different. But when we were doing back in the day, you know, there was a mood board, there was a process. There was like, okay, we're not feeling, we got to take a little break or we'll move forward. Now it's like, no, we need to do 20 shots. There's no time for like, you know, review. There's like, this is what we're doing and we got to go. You know, time is money, you know, so it is a little different. And I'm grateful that I've, you know, experienced what I did and really, you know, and I'm grateful that I'm still able to, you know, evolve with the industry and with the technology and, you know, and have that experience too. It is different, you know, that's what it's great. I mean, it's just, it keeps evolving, right? As long as we're constantly moving and growing and, you know, even change, it's good. It kind of makes us appreciate this something before or makes us, you know, realize or teaches us new things. So I think everything comes from something that we can learn and be better.
I agree. And I agree with you. I mean, to be honest, I get nostalgic and really miss sometimes those days when it really was about like the art of the photo, you know, and putting all that time and energy into it and working with the masters and, you know, and I think now to your point, everything is not fast enough. Everything's not quick enough. But I do think to me, actually, you just hit on one of the most important lessons in business, which is always taking away your learnings from your experience, but really taking that knowledge and being able to adapt to the new. Because if you don't, that's actually when you actually really get into trouble in business, in my opinion. And a very successful entrepreneur once said, like in an interview, and it was so interesting because he just said it like just so cut and dry. Like if you don't adapt to the change of the environment of business, you don't survive it. You have to be willing to change and embrace it and find the good in the new way. And then take your knowledge of the way that you learned or how you trained. Cause I wouldn't trade my experience and knowledge from the past for anything. It was the best ever.
Yeah, I remember there are moments where, you know, as you know, like Polaroids, there was that one Polaroid you will look at, that was the peek into like kind of what you're doing. And the rest was in a camera roll. It really was, you did not know how it's going to end up until the film was developed. And, you know, you kind of were just have to have faith in the process. That's really what it was. Now we know exactly what we're going to get, how, you know, second by second, we sometimes can get too much. Like, you know, now with when people shoot you, it's like, take a picture, look at the screen, take a picture, look at the screen. Sometimes like even me, I can get taxing. You know, it's like, I can get into it because it's like, even I'm like, I don't want to look at the screen because it's, you know, your eye wants to constantly go and look at it, and it distracts you and takes you away from that moment. Takes you away from the moment.
Now, I agree with that. And I think one of my favorite things about working with you is that you are such a collaborator and you do love to like bring everyone into the conversation. And I would say without a doubt, one of my most favorite collaborations of my whole career was the one that we did together for Met, which it's so funny because every time the Met Ball comes around, I think about it for like a full month. I remember that moment because I had just become a designer. And, you know, I had obviously been a stylist for a long time, but it was the first time I really got to collaborate with you, a friend, and obviously like an icon, but just working with you on that process was such like a dream for me on so many levels. And I'll never forget when you walked out of the hotel and I just was like, it was like a very surreal moment that I will never, ever forget. And, you know, the Met Gala in and of itself is like amazing and terrifying at the same time. But I mean, like what I think
that was an amazing moment, by the way. I mean, I hope you like put it up, the picture that people can remember, because you know, it was such a beautiful dress. It was very you, it was very Rachel Zoe, had a, you know, sparkles, was very glam, but it was such a simple, beautiful silhouette, but, you know, simple, but yet so complex. I mean, I remember vividly where, you know, only people could look inside the dress because we were like, it's front, it's simple, but it's backless. Okay, ladies, backless dress, it's gorgeous, okay? But nothing to super, like, how do you know, I remember like, how do we make sure that it doesn't, and it was sequins, it doesn't collapse because it was a super material, but it's nice hugging to the body, but where your breasts look like they're there, but you could not have a bra, had a super, oh my goodness, I remember how many things we tried, how many like nipple things and tapes to make sure nothing moved and the dress stayed in, the belt inside the dress that nobody even saw, like to make sure the, you know, dress stayed. And then really your touch, I remember with the sequin like headband turban that really kind of made the look, but it was like, wow.
But that was you, because not everyone would have said, yes, I'm in. And you were like, yes, why not? Like, why wouldn't we do this? And you just, you know, and there was just this way. And I think it's such a talent that the way that you stand, the way that you move, the way you know how something will look good at whatever angle. And it's like, that's actually a talent that I think people don't give enough credit for, because I'm so awkward and I'm so like uncomfortable. And when you just don't know, and I immediately start to hunch my shoulders and I'm like, and you get on that carpet and you were like this statue that wasn't even human, that happened to actually move and be like adorable you. And it was like the sweetest thing. And we had that was such a fun night. And I will never forget it. I mean, what are some of your like most favorite, most memorable, for whatever reason it was, that really stay with you in your head? Like just even two that you can think of.
Like in
your career that you're like, oh my God, I went to this McQueen. Like what are some moments that like changed your whole being, you know?
You know, again, I was so lucky that, you know, I started so young that I had a chance to really work with the greatest, you know, before they passed away. Yep. Like McQueen, you know, working with Mr. Irving Penn, who is, you know, for his incredible photography and lighting. You know, Mr. Irving Penn was someone, you know, who did not like music on the set. There was no speaking, no talking. There was, you know, silence.
Just genius. Silence. Just genius.
And like silence. And he was very specific. Move your arm to the right. just 1 inch, and then it's like, it's very intimidating when it's such a silence, on the set, like, and it's all on you and the light. And he's like, move 1 inch.
I'd be so nervous.
But I was definitely nervous, but it was so incredible. I'm working with Mr. Avedon, Richard Avedon, who was he was like the director behind the camera, who would be always to the side and be like, now, energy, move, down, yeah. And, he'll like do it with you. So he's like moving, he's coming to the camera. This is great. And go forward. And he will give all of that. And, Peter Lindbergh, who was just, it was
my favorite.
Beautiful black and white, sensual, feminine, raw, sexy.
I love him.
Just like follow you and talk to you and, never, and so I really, I cannot say one moment because every moment was like a different moment and everyone has a different style and a way they see you in a photography and pull something from you or make you feel a certain way, right? As women, we don't have one feeling. We don't have one emotion. I mean, I certainly don't.
Billions.
All women, we don't. So, I think it's wonderful where you have, we get to work where we can tap into those feelings so we can kind of play and get it out of our system on the set, maybe not always at home or not as much maybe, because there's a lot of things I do in my work I would never do at home, like, or for myself. Like, I wouldn't know where certain things in my life, like everyday life, but I enjoy it for that moment. And I think it's, I really embody that moment. Like, okay, this is not something I would necessarily wear, but this is kind of, I appreciate that, what it is. And I'm like, okay, how would I wear it and move it? How does that make me feel? And that's how I do it. Another great moment. I was Marilyn Manson for a Vogue shoot. Obviously pale skin, eyeballs changed to different colors. I had the black hair. And that was amazing and genius of Stephen Meisel and Grace Cuttington, where they cast me as Marilyn Manson. I love things like that. I love to be an artist where I get, I don't have to be always pretty. I'm all for it. Like I'm okay to be a character, not to be, always pretty or sexy or be pretty in a different way.
Sure.
I find it really I love it.
Well, I think, by the way, that's very similar psychology to acting, and I think that's why actors, they love to get into a different role. It's very similar concept because they love to be who they are in real life. And then they love to walk onto set and be someone totally different and then go home and be mom or dad or whoever and like wife or just you and whatever. And I think that's like the brilliance of it because ultimately it's an art, right? Modeling is an art. And I think that the fact that you got to work with so many of the best and still working with the best, and I had that privilege and honor too. And I don't take it for granted. I really don't. Like, I'll just look back at some of the things I was lucky enough to be a part of. And I'm like, it's like in so many ways you think about like, oh, it's like they're the Picassos in a lot of ways, right? Of this day. And I don't know, it's just very nostalgic and amazing. And I think really shapes who we are. And I think, at least for me, has helped me so much in business, right? I think I've developed a thicker skin from the industry in good ways. Like, I think it's really like made me open my eyes to a million different things. I think, I don't know, but I do find that, don't you sort of love that you can go to work sometimes and step into being like this person or whoever that person is on that day and then go home and be like, but I'm like now a mommy and I'm like, so like, there's something about going through the doors of your home sometimes that gives you that, like, I'm home feeling. Do you feel that way when you come home from work, or are you just sort of like, I'm here this way and I'm here as mom and you can compartmentalize really well? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. When I'm home, and your mom too, that mom life, it's a full-time operation brand on its own that you have to manage, right? Between their schedules and foods and homework and play dates and sports and clothes or performances and birthdays. That, but then it's like, when you have a chance to like go like to an office or go for a photo shoot, that it's like, so refreshing. Even work, it's not like you're relaxing, you have a minute to relax, but it's kind of refreshing to have something else that you can like do and like, you know, be with other people, that it's not just about like a snack time or mom, you know, where's my jersey or what am I eating for snack or dinner? You know, it's refreshing for sure, even though it's like exhausting because you know you're working and it's, you know, you're doing things, you have to go work. But then of course, you know, it feels great to get out of the house, and then you come back home, you're like, oh yeah, but I missed it.
Yeah, of course, it's true.
You know? It's like I feel like we all have that though.
That's true.
Have that. Like, you want to get out, you want to get away. You're like, it's a lot, but then it's like you miss it.
I think as a mom, KK, I forget how to think about myself. Do you?
For sure. I mean, it's not like I don't have to really time for me, you know, really. Yeah. And having a third child, it definitely changes the game. And having 3 kids, you know, kind of spread out a lot. So I do have almost like they were all kind of individual kids, because I have 12, I have 6, and I have an infant. So somebody told me
that is really spread apart.
So somebody told me I'm basically I have a toddler and a teenager at the same time.
It's so crazy because I like didn't even realize that God.
Yeah.
Wait.
So it gets a little
6 and 1. Not even 1. She's not even.
No, I have a 9-month-old, almost a 9-month-old. I'm a 12-year-old. So it is a little, and a 6-year-old. So, you know, it's been amazing because obviously I had time with every one of them.
But you're living all 3. You're living all 3 points. You have like a teen, tween, and then you have like a baby,
which is about to like, it's eating, but it's about to like walk, crawls, you know, so then it's that whole thing, you know,
scariest time.
Teaching the potty time. And then you have a 6-year-old, you know, which obviously, you know, everyone has their things they're going through and needs and friends and activities. So it does get a little intense. I mean, and you know, I'm still breastfeeding, so I'm coming towards the end, but so it's definitely the year has been, you know, giving birth to my daughter, which has been so special and incredible. And I'm so happy.
She looks just like you, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, she looks just like you. I look at your Instagram. I want to like jump through Instagram. She's like an angel from heaven.
She really is. She's so sweet. She really is actually my easiest child. I mean, my other boys, I have really good kids. It's, you know, they're all easy, but you know, I have boys, you know, and they have them. I mean, she's just like, you would think she's the baby. She'll be like the one screaming all the time, crying. No, it's my boys. She's the easy one. But what I was saying, you know, this whole year, it's been, you know, giving birth to my child. I mean, giving birth to my child and having a girl, which has been really special having a girl. I mean, you've said it before. It is a very different, having a woman, like a girl, being a girl, and having a girl. And I love my boys and always did. I would never think, oh, I love my boys because I'm, you know, I get boys and I'm like, you know,
you speak boy, you're fun. You have a good energy for boys too.
It's a different thing having a girl. I can't explain it. It's like, she's you know, it's like, she's like one of you, you know? And so it's been beautiful, and having the time that I have the time again with her. I've been breastfeeding her. I've been home with her. I can focus on her and also on the boys and all the transition and making sure, you know, everybody is taken care of. Everyone has their time and attention, that I really have no time to think of me and my work and really, you know, what do I want? What are my goals? Like everything's been so much about my kids, which is obviously, you know, it is the most important thing for me. I want to be a mom. I don't want to be just gone and work all the time, never see my family, you know? So family is very important. But I love what I do too. And it's funny, I actually had this conversation with somebody earlier. You know, I want to make sure that I am utilizing the gifts, the universe that I've been given, that they're being put to work. I think that's what I want to make sure for me, that I don't want to kind of get lost in translation, that I want to make sure that I'm utilizing what I'm meant to do, whatever that is, you know, whatever I decide, but that I make sure I make the time for me to do that.
So if you liked what you heard so far, please make sure you're subscribed on Apple Podcasts and give us a rating and, of course, a great review, please. And keep listening. And check us out on our Instagram @works.for.us. Also, tell us your story There is now a Works For Us phone line that you can call to leave us a message with your very own relationship stories, and we're planning to share our favorites on the podcast. You can also ask us relationship advice, although I can't stress enough that we're not experts, but we'll still take your questions. So if you want to share your story or ask us a question, give us a call at 657-549-2251. That's 657-549-2251. You can also find all of our contact info on our Instagram at works.for.us.